Hi again, Risa here, back with another episode of Ask Risa. This is my weekly video series where I discuss common wedding planning questions and problems that you might be having. So this week I want to talk about something that I have been discussing with one of my current clients, and that is how do you convey to your guests that you're having an adults-only wedding, that children are not invited. It can be a little bit of a sticky situation, but this is one of the earliest decisions you need to make when you start planning your wedding, because it'll affect your guest count and everything else, whether or not you're inviting children. And you should make that decision early. Don't wait until later, further in the process. So there's basically three options. Either you include all children, or you exclude all children, or you have some number of children that are there because they're special exceptions. Either maybe they're immediate family members of yours, your children if you have them, your nieces and nephews, or if you're older, your grandchildren. Or if you're having children in your wedding party, like as flower girls or ring bearers, and they're coming to the wedding, but no other children are allowed, that's like another scenario where you might be making specific exceptions, but in general, guests aren't bringing children. So the way people used to indicate that children weren't invited was pretty subtle and relied on the people getting the invitation to understand the rules of etiquette. So basically what you would do is the invitation would be addressed to Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, and then the inner invitation would have the names of everybody who was invited. So if it was Harry and Sally and their children, Bob and Susie, then all four names would have appeared on the inner envelope. But if it was just Harry and Sally and the children weren't invited, their names would not have appeared on the inner envelope. This doesn't work anymore for a variety of reasons, one of which is a lot of wedding invitations don't come with the double envelope system anymore. There's just the outer envelope. If you want to invite the whole family, you can address the invitation to, the Smith family. But the other thing is people don't really understand etiquette the way they used to. It's just not a thing that a lot of people get. So people aren't probably going to realize that if their kids aren't on the invitation, that means their kids aren't invited. They just may not pick up on that signal. So you need to be a little bit more direct about it these days if you want to make sure that people don't bring their kids to your wedding if they're not invited. So the best way to do it is start laying the groundwork early via word of mouth. Anytime you're having a conversation with somebody about your wedding, if it makes sense, mention that it's an adults only wedding. Presumably, if you're inviting these people to your wedding, you know whether or not they have kids. So your friends are going to want to talk to you about your wedding plans, and it's pretty easy to work into the conversation. Hey, we're so excited. We're going to invite you to our wedding. It's going to be in California in October. Hopefully you can make it. Let me know if you are going to need childcare options because we're having an adults only wedding. We really want you to be there, but we understand, you have kids. So let me know if you need help in that area. That conveys to them right from the get-go that if they want to come to your wedding, they need a plan. They need a plan for childcare. Either they have to find somebody to watch their kids. If they're traveling, they need to leave the kids at home and find somebody to watch them there. Or if they're going to bring the kids on the trip, they need local babysitting, something. It clues them into the fact that kids are not going to be invited. The next best place is your wedding website. This is a huge opportunity for you to convey to your guests whether or not kids are invited, because people are going to go to your website looking for information about your wedding. So this can either be on like a frequently asked questions tab or page on your website, or just right there in the description of the day, what the events that are happening, the ceremony and the reception. It's really easy to just put in something in there here's some language for you. As much as we love your children, our wedding will be adults only. Alcohol will be served. There will be no available childcare. For everyone's safety and enjoyment, we hope that you are able to make other childcare arrangements, and we look forward to celebrating with you. So again, kind of like the way you did when you can do it in person, you indicate that you want them there, that they are important to you and you want to celebrate with them, But this is the fact: there are no children coming to our wedding. So, let us know if you need help making alternate arrangements. You can either put information right on your website about childcare in the area, or, just put some phrase on there like, let us know if you need, babysitter recommendations or something like that. Make them aware that you're there to help them, and that you want to make it easy for them to attend your wedding because you want them there. Next is your actual wedding invitation itself. So at the bottom of the invitation, after all the particulars about the names of the couple getting married, the date, the time, the location, often in the bottom corner, there would be a place to say reception to follow, dinner and dancing to follow, something like that. You can also put adult reception to follow or adults only reception, something like that. You put it right there on the invitation. It has to be phrased within a couple of words. So adult reception to follow or adults only reception, something like that. It's super short and gets right to the point. Your people, your guests, may or may not pay attention to that. It's possible that you're still going to get an RSVP that includes children on it. And at that point, you just have to be direct. You have to call that person up and be like, oh, I'm so happy that you are able to attend the wedding. Unfortunately, we don't have any way to accommodate children. We are, maxed out capacity-wise at the venue. We haven't arranged any child-friendly meals. Sometimes if you're getting married outside, it's an open area, it's not enclosed. There's no security, there's no babysitting. We don't want the kids to wander off. We've decided to make this an adults only reception. Be prepared for the possibility that they will have to then decline the invitation if they can't bring their kids. And that's fine. That was the choice, the decision that you made at the beginning of this process when you decided not to invite children. You should know that by excluding children, there is a chance that some of your friends and family who have kids just won't be able to make it. And if you're okay with that, then be okay with that. Don't start making exceptions for people because once you make an exception for one person, then everybody's going to want you to make an exception for them. And if somebody goes to a lot of trouble to make childcare arrangements because they were told it was an adults only wedding, and then they go to your wedding and one of your other friends has their kid there, they're gonna be pissed about it. Like, not gonna lie, they're not gonna be happy about it, and they're gonna wonder, why did that person get to bring their kids when I couldn't bring my kids? So just have a rule and enforce it across the board. Now, that said, if you are making an exception for immediate family, then usually people know that, like they know who your immediate family is. And if they see your brother there with his kids, but nobody else has their kids there, they're gonna get it. They're gonna understand that that person's your brother. Those are your nieces and nephews. Like, that's why they're there. Same thing if you have kids in your wedding party. So if you have flower girls or ring bearers, you can go either way with this. You can either have the kids in the wedding and have them at the reception. Just be prepared to have a plan for that. You're going to want, depending on their age, you're going to want activities for them because they will get bored. So coloring books and crayons, bubbles, just something for them to do because they're not going to want to sit there all night and, hang out like they're kids. That's not their scene. And you're also going to need kids meals for them. And kids meals are great because they're cheaper than feeding an adult, and the kids are more likely to eat them. If you give a kid, chicken fingers and French fries, chances are they're going to eat that. You give a kid salmon en croûte and scalloped potatoes, probably not going to eat that, and that money is going to go to waste. So make sure you get kids meals from your caterer if your wedding party members are going to stay through the reception. Or if you have children in your wedding, they don't have to stay for the reception. When I got married, 2 of our nieces were flower girls in our wedding, but they were 2 and 4, so they were really little, and they had to go to bed early. They weren't gonna make it through the reception. Plus, my brother and his wife wouldn't have had as much fun if the kids were there. So we were all local. Like, my sister-in-law's family lived in the same town, essentially, where we were getting married in Los Angeles. So after the ceremony and the cocktail hour, my sister-in-law's mother, meaning my nieces and nephews' other grandma, not my mom, but their other grandma, she came and she picked them up and she took them home and she kept them overnight so that my brother and sister-in-law were able to have a good time at our wedding and they didn't have to worry about their kids. So the kids still got to be there for the part they were involved in, the ceremony. Everybody got to see how cute they were. They were adorable, but they didn't stay for the whole thing. So you can definitely find ways to work around having kids in your wedding, but not at your wedding for the whole time. And then lastly, I just want to mention babies, because babies, infants, kind of fall into another category. They're way easier than kids when it comes to having them at your wedding. First of all, you don't need a seat for them because they're not old enough to sit up. They're either going to be in a stroller or in one of those car carrier things, or maybe somebody's going to wear them in a baby wearing wrap. They don't need a seat. They don't need a meal because they're infants. They're either breastfeeding or taking a bottle. So you don't have to worry about that. And they can't walk yet. They can't crawl. They can't walk. They're not going to get in any trouble. They're like self-contained. So if somebody has an infant, then you may want to allow them to bring the infant, even if you have excluded children, just because a lot of people aren't comfortable leaving their infant behind, even if it's just for an evening. And if you really want them to come to your wedding, then maybe you want to have a conversation with them. Say, hey, I know you have like a 2-month-old or whatever. If you want to bring them, that's fine. We're not having kids at the wedding, but babies are okay. Obviously, there's a chance the baby might start crying during the ceremony. Your friend might have to take them out, or they might have to leave early. They're probably not going to stay until midnight if they've got an infant because they're sleep deprived, and even though the baby can sleep pretty much anywhere, the parents cannot. So that's like a case-by-case situation, something you're just going to have to deal with as it comes up. So if you have any other specific situations that you want some advice on, feel free to let me know. Shoot me a DM, leave a comment wherever you're watching this, whether it's on YouTube or Instagram. And that's my advice on how to convey to your guests that you are having an adults-only reception or wedding and that children are not invited. So if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll be back in 2 weeks with another video. All right, bye for now.